Good afternoon. How is everyone? Everyone's looking so spectacular. I love that. Is it a party in the USA for you? I'm loving it. Woohoo! Alrighty. So let's get started first with some advice. Don't you love you some good advice? Advice comes in all different shapes and sizes, and this little girl, I understand, was giving some advice to her mother after listening to her parents have an argument. So let's just get a little advice, because I think it extends past just what she was talking about. I think there's a bigger message here.
What else than me? Mom, are you ready to be his friend?
Yes.
Try not to be that high up to be friends. I want everything to be low. Okay?
Okay.
Just try your best. I don't want you and my dad to be replaced in meetings again. I want you and my dad to be placed as settled and be friends. I'm not trying to be mean. I just want everyone to be friends. And if I can be nice, I think all of us can be nice too. I'm not trying to be mean, but I'm trying to do my best in my heart. Nothing else than that. I want you, Mom, my dad, everyone to be friends. I want everyone to be smiling, not like being mad. I want everything to smile. Especially when I see someone, I want them to smile. Especially Nana, everyone. I want everyone to smile. And if that's for my dad and you, Mom, I think you can do it. I think you can settle your mean heights down a little to short heights. Then it's both, okay? I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to be a bully. I'm trying to be steady on the floor, not way down, on straight, on the middle where my heart is. My heart is something. Everyone else's heart is something too. And if we live in a world where everyone's being mean, everyone's going to be a monster in their future. What if there's just a little bit of persons and we will eat them, then no one will ever be here. Only the monsters in our place. We need everyone to be a person. Everyone, including me and my mom, everyone. I just want everything to be settled down. Nothing else. I just want everything to be good as possible. Nothing else.
Amen, sister. My grandmother would call that out of the mouths of babes. Some good advice, man. I'll tell you what. She's got a career ahead of her in marriage counseling or something. Or maybe as a realtor. Alrighty. Where is Karen Mulreed? Karen, did you have something that you wanted to... Was there something that came up today?
I always want to share. Something did come up today. We have had a lot of inquiries about forbearance and deferring your mortgage payments. Please, please, please tell your clients, if they even suggest that they might be inquiring about it, to give us a call. Because I have had two instances. One where a lender called a woman I know and said, would you like to defer your payments? She did, and now she's in forbearance. She wants to refinance, and she cannot. So please, have them talk to us first. Let us check it out. I had another instance today where I was told that lenders are keeping track of the people who call in to even ask about forbearance and do not want to lend to them in the future because they're looking at it as being way too risky. So please have them talk with us. Forbearance deferment is not a way of having the banks do us a favor by giving us a little time off from paying our mortgages. There's so many little details that even myself had no idea about. Lenders are also looking at your credit reports, and when they see that there is a forbearance or a deferment, they don't want to lend to you. And we don't want that kind of activity to interfere with their ability to purchase anything, especially a house. So please keep that in mind. If anybody talks to you about it, or if you're looking for a topic to discuss with your clients, because everybody's talking about it, have them call us and we'd be happy to go through the steps to explain it to them.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
You know, and it's the point there, I think, is that we've been talking about that for a number of weeks, but no one's really been necessarily talking to the client, right? So make sure that the people that you have in your world understand that, right? So that they don't make additional mistakes. Alrighty. So I was asked a question earlier that I don't yet have an answer to, and it's an interesting question. For those of you who had been moving forward in filing for the federal unemployment benefits, utilizing the day we closed the office as that date of, that's kind of when I lost my job type thing. Question was asked, well, what's the end date? Since we used the date we closed the office, if we're getting ready to start reopening the market centers next week or the week after, is that now a date that we're using to end those benefits? It's a great question, and I don't have an answer for that yet. So we'll do a little bit of digging. My thought is that I don't know the answer to that. So we'll get you an answer to that. We'll get you an answer, because the answer could be you can just kind of keep going if you so choose, and you know. But I think that having an official answer to that question would be is a prudent path, at least for the market centers to take in what we're kind of guiding everyone to do. And then everyone needs to make some decisions based on true need and real opportunity. And so I will reach out. I know that the CTR folks have an attorney. I forget her name. I wrote it down. Involved in this whole conversation about the PUA, and I'll ask some questions, just kind of generically speaking, and see what kind of guidance we get about what that looks like. Make sense? Cool.
May I make an observation?
Yes, Jen.
Just an observation. I am not an expert and don't know anything really about this stuff because I've never done this before, but I did notice that the PUA says it's available from February through September. And since nobody really knows when they're going to be, opened back up, it seems to me that if you pick a date and like June 30th, let's just say, for example, and you're not opened up, because the window for the opportunity is from February to September, if you had to still keep applying because you weren't opened up by June 30th, then I don't think that they would hurt you. But if you ended up going back to work before June 30th and you weren't making any more claims, then that would resolve that too. No?
Yes, and I think that the question was less about what should we put in the claim as a return to work date, and more about when are we legitimately now not unemployed anymore, right? And so that question has yet to be answered by anybody. yes, it's available through September. The FPUC, that extra $600 a month, is available through July the 25th. The legitimacy of that question comes into play based on something I said yesterday, and that is that everyone will be audited, that there is a simple reality around these benefits, that there will be an audit. And if you're determined to have been overpaid, they will ask for the money back. It remains to be seen whether or not they'll ask for the money back with a penalty and or interest, or just ask for the money back. All of that is massively unclear. So I think there's legitimacy to both sides of that. When you're doing your claim, don't put an end date to it in the claim. The answer is not sure, because that is true. We are still unsure about what and how this is all going to work. That we'll get clarity around that likely in the next couple of weeks, and hopefully some clarity around the legitimacy of continuing to file claims long term. So stay tuned on that. It's something I've been saying for quite some time, that the last 8 weeks is probably a whole lot simpler than the next 8 weeks, simply because of it was relatively adapt or die type time in the last 8 weeks, right? And now as the next 8 weeks roll forward, we've already adapted, and so now adapting back to whatever we have to adapt back to, and starting to phase out some of these things that we phased in is all a big question mark. So stay tuned. We'll get you some additional answers on that. Any other questions before I dive into? Yes, Tammy.
Is there any talk about when the office is going to reopen again? Is there any rumor, or is it still until further notice?
Yes. So we actually had a really long conversation around that on the one session that you missed. So I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry about that. I think Adonis has posted it, so you can go back. No, so I'm kidding. I'm kidding. The answer is, just the update on that answer is, we're still working on it. We're still working on it. It won't be before the end of next week. And if the governor continues to move in the direction of the 21st being some version of something, my guess is that we haven't yet seen the phases in which he's going to start reopening office space in certain industries. And so we're going to utilize that information, plus the information that we're gathering on the inside, and building our plan, but it's all still up in the air. So don't press your suit for Monday, because you're still okay in your jeans and a t-shirt. Maybe the following week or the next week after that, we'll see. Hey, if Jeannie can put lipstick on when she's home, anyone can dive in and get dressed up. Anybody else have any other questions before we go to just one quickie before we finish today?
I actually have a quick question. Is there any other guidance on evictions? I just had a client call me. Their tenant didn't pay. So I said, well, they're allowed to, they have 2 months security. They're allowed to use their first month. Was there any guidance on using the second month security? And is eviction still on hold until July 1st?
Yeah, great question. So the answer is yes. Right now, anybody who didn't pay for May the 1st, they actually are, the grace period for May the 1st is 60 days. So it's July 1st. So April's grace period was 60 days. So to pay April, you had until June 1st. And to pay May, you have a 60-day grace period now instead of the normal 10-day grace period. You have a 60-day grace period. So May is really due July the 1st. July 1st is still the date when evictions can begin again, unless that gets extended. We're still waiting to see whether or not that is going to be manipulated in any further fashion. But right now, July 1 is the due date for May 1st. So I think that the first thing I would let my landlord know is that they're not late yet. Unfortunately for landlords, they're not late on May's payment until July the 1st. And then after July the 1st, if they still haven't paid, then you can start the eviction process pretty immediately after that.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yeah, and of course I don't have my lipstick on right now.
That's why I called you out on it.
Hey, Rick.
Yes, shift book winners.
Shift book winners finally caught up. So the winners are Stonehamel and Creed Palmer. So please come get your books, guys. Thank you.
Awesome. And I do have to say, those two winners have the coolest names of all of us, I think. Come on, Stonehamel and Creed Palmer. It's a whole lot better than Rick, Chris, Jen.
It's not cooler than my name.
Well, that is true. We do have a Donnas Apollo, so we have to give him props. See, you can never tell me stuff, Adonis, because I don't forget it.
I see.
The person who's laughing more than you is your mother. I'm assuming that she gave you that name, so. No, that wasn't you?
No, his father gave it to him.
Okay, well, it's still a pretty awesome name.
It is.
All righty. So let's, any other questions before we dive into just one quick thing? All righty. So here's what I wanted to just throw your way today, because we've been talking about money. Oh, look at that little girl. There she is again. I wanted to just throw this at you really quick. What is that?
Cash flow quadrants.
It's the cash flow quadrant. Thank you, Mr. DiBiase. Right, so recognize that you have an opportunity to live inside of one or more of each of these quadrants. Can everyone see it? Did I do what I had to do to make it? There we go. Now, there's hardly anybody on this call who fits into the upper left-hand quadrant, right? The E quadrant, because most of you are independent contractors, so you're not an actual employee. And most of us on this call are indeed part of the S, right? Part of the S. Now, I wanted to just bring this up today because a lot of times in our world, we talk with you about your business and about how being a business owner comes with, you know, rights and responsibilities, and you have to do all this stuff, and wear your CEO hat versus your employee hat, and all those kind of terms that we throw around. However, it struck me this morning when I came across this document again, thought, you know, that's actually doing you a little bit of a disservice, because most of you on this call, I should say most of us on this call, don't really have a business yet. Because the real definition, the difference between the S and the B is you can be self-employed and still need to show up every day in order to make money. Real business ownership means you don't have to show up every day and that money keeps showing up. Right? And so for most of us, that B is still a little bit elusive, because if you don't show up with your S on the left-hand side, the B on the right-hand side doesn't run. And so that kind of kicks you back over into the S. Now, I want you to take a look at this axis, the up and down axis. See where I am here? Everything to the left, that's E and S, versus everything to the right, B and I, you can expect different results. Where does wealth live? Which side, the right side or the left side?
Right side.
The right side is exactly right, right? Now what's cool is the left side typically funds the right side, right? And so oftentimes the discussion around this cash flow quadrant is, as fast as you possibly can, get over to the right-hand side, because that's where wealth lives. Well, for many of us, that S on the left-hand side creates the income that allows us to then buy the assets or the businesses on the right-hand side to move in that wealth building direction. So know that the goal is to continue to move to the right-hand side and move more of your world to the right-hand side, that business ownership and investment side, where people and money do the work, and you're the beneficiary of the people and the money in your world. However, don't lose sight of the fact that until you're completely on the right-hand side, that S is what will fund you stepping into and continuing to grow into and drive further a part of the B and the I. Does that make sense to everybody? So start to look how you can continue to grow the S and then utilize a portion of the S to start in on the I, while you're continuing to manipulate how the business is run, so that at some point that B kind of kicks into place for you as well. But don't give up on the S, because the S is what funds this. If you all of a sudden jump to this side and you are negligent on this, you find that all of a sudden you're an investor with no funds to continue investing. Right? Until this side becomes self-sufficient. Does that make sense to everybody? Any thoughts or ahas about those quadrants? Not a one, huh? Okay. Well, Jeannie put lipstick on, so maybe that's more interesting. Everyone quick, take a look at Jeannie's lips. They are clearly far more interesting than the piece of wealth info that I brought you for this afternoon. All right, I've been upstaged by whatever red that is. All right, guys. If you haven't read The Cash Flow Quadrant, it is a book by Robert Kiyosaki, who also wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So dive into that, because it's an eye-opening opportunity to start making sure that you have your foot in more than one of those boxes, right? Don't get stuck is the point. All right, well, with that, we're going to sign off a little early. I'm going to go and maybe ask Jeannie to borrow some of that lipstick and gussy myself up for all of your folks so I can get on at 7 o'clock. I promise not to show up at 7 o'clock with lipstick on. Karen Mulry just said, oh my God, really? I think I'm out if that's the case. So I am going to change my t-shirt though, because no one wants to look at this big 30. And plus, I will say, when I put this on this morning, this is what I call a sausage shirt. I literally feel like I am so squeezed into this shirt, but it was the red shirt that was laid out for me. So I've worn it all day long. I'm gonna have to go home and like expand out of it and put one of my black t-shirts on that's a little roomier. So I will see you all at 7 o'clock. I promise to bring great information to you and to your clients. I appreciate you taking the time to be with us this afternoon. We will see you later, and if not later, we'll see you tomorrow morning at 9. We will have a special Red Day edition of our 9 o'clock question call, so make sure you're on that. We'll see you soon. Take care. Good night.